So we talked a little bit about Mallows Bay as giving a boost to tourism. What about other forms of agro or ecotourism? What would you recommend, and what forms would you support for Charles County?
First answering this question is Brian Klaus.
Charles County is a beautiful place to live. And we have talked ecotourism for decades. But I do want to use an example of a project that was slated for ecotourism where we have dropped the ball. 25 years ago, Chapman's Forest over on the western side of Charles County was purchased for $28 million, 2,800 acres of land right outside the municipality of Indian Head. And at the time, it was going to be Chapman State Park. It was going to be a world-class, smart growth project that was traded off for the purchase of that land to turn into a park. Now, some of us here have visited Chapman State Park, but the amount of money that was promised from designating that a state park and the benefit of tourism and ecotourism from that has resulted in boarded up communities, and we just found out that we're losing our Safeway in Bryan's Road. I believe tourism has a place in our local economy and we should support it, but we should not trade off better opportunities for economic development and higher paying jobs in the quest for tourism or ecotourism. Charles County is an expensive place to live. We should focus our efforts in economic development around high-paying, career-focused employment and still promote our tourism and ecotourism opportunities. Thank you.
Next speaking will be Reuben Collins.
One of the most recent and important decisions by county government was to actually hire an individual that would act as the director of eco-business and agribusiness opportunities. Agribusiness provides tremendous opportunities for potential economic growth for the future of our county. One idea that I proposed is the idea of establishing through agribusinesses international trade opportunities with other nations that may be more rural in scope. And it would provide an opportunity for our farming industries and farming opportunities to work directly with nations outside of the United States to develop an actual partnership, to look at how, for example, our knowledge of agriculture could assist developing countries, for example. There's plenty of examples of these type of partnerships. My ideas are to jumpstart and expand our economy. Too often when we talk about business development in Charles County, we maintain the same posture that we've heard over and over again. But our challenge is we're competing with the Washington region. And so it's incumbent on us as a community to begin thinking outside of the box and looking at potential ideas for economic development that will expand our local economy. So of course, the idea of agribusiness development and ecotourism, they provide potential opportunities, but I see the opportunity for our government to look at ways to expand our local economy. Thank you.
Henry Thompson will be talking.
As far as the agribusiness goes, I want you to encourage the continued use and visitation to the farmers markets. You know, for a long time we had just the market in La Plata and the one in Hughesville. Recently, Indian Head decided to start one, and I believe Port Tobacco is also starting one up. Those farmers markets are important because they provide an outlet for our local farmers who are small that can promote their wares to the public. The other thing to consider is the microbreweries in the area. The microbreweries need to have different kinds of grains and hops produced so they can produce their products also. We need to encourage that type of business also because the microbreweries are a big interest to the tourist industry as well. So producing those type of products and encouraging outlets for them to be sold at is an important option that we have to help our county. Thank you.
Closing out this question is Peter Murphy.
Thank you very much. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, one of the first things that we did in county government was to create a new department, and we put tourism in that department because we recognized the potential for tourism as an economic development tool for us. You know, as I mentioned earlier, we are so close to the DC area. We're only an hour away. And the people that spend the money, they want an experience. And Charles County is so rich in terms of what we can offer folks. Just last year, we had 1,000 cyclists that came to Indian Head, 1,000. Those weren't Charles County residents primarily. Those people came from throughout the area. We also have the watershed, Mattawoman Watershed, Mattawoman Creek Watershed. Tourism is linked to land use. We have these bass tournaments. We don't have one this year. We will have one year. It's for disabled veterans, I believe. Next year, we're due to have 2 more. Those bring in over $1 million in a weekend that they're here. And where does that go? It goes into our hotels, it goes into our restaurants, it goes into our gas stations and so forth. We've got to make good land use decisions to make sure that that continues. We just struck a relationship and an arrangement with the Department of Natural Resources in the Chapel Point State Park. They're going to let us lease about 50 acres of that so we can open up that waterway to more of our residents and to more kayakers and to more fishermen and women and so forth. So my point is we have tremendous opportunity in this county. And to not consider tourism a major piece of economic development is a mistake. And so we have committed in this administration to expand our economic development. We're looking at all sorts of things, but certainly tourism is one of them. So, and ecotourism is certainly growing all the time. So we do encourage that, find ways to promote that. Thank you.